Welcome back to the Queer Sister podcast. My name is Jasmine. I'm bisexual and my pronouns are she, her, and
I'm Natasha. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a lesbian. So today I wanted to talk about like attraction, sexual and romantic attraction. So I heard on I was reading on Twitter, they were canceling this girl because she didn't believe in bi-lesbian. So then I went on this deep dive what a bi-lesbian is, because I was like, okay, so bisexual, lesbian.
Yeah, explain that.
What does that mean? Because you would think that those are two different identities. Now I already know about romantic attraction. So this is person who you want to be in a relationship with, be intimate with, in a more of be married to them type of thing. And then sexual attractions, obviously you're attracted to them. You want to do sexual things with them. So those are two different things. So you can have romantic attraction to people, but no sexual attraction, which is asexual, which I thought I was. Or you can have, I guess, sexual attraction to a certain gender, but only have, or to two genders, and then have a romantic attraction to one. Does that make sense? Am I rambling?
No, that works.
So I was confused because I was like, how can you be a bisexual lesbian? Wouldn't you just be bisexual, attracted to
both
men and women sexually?
Yeah.
And you romantically only want to be with women. I'm guessing that's what that means, a bisexual lesbian.
Yeah.
You like men and women, but you only want to have a girlfriend and be married to a woman.
It kind of sounds like you have a preference, a general preference.
Well, wouldn't that just be bisexual, because there's a spectrum of bisexuals?
That's what I thought. So I don't want to say anything, and I'm going to get canceled.
No, I know. So this is a conversation, because I'm not saying anything's invalid. I was just trying to figure out, and if anybody's listening or watching this, to explain it to me further, because I could totally understand saying maybe being sexually attracted to one gender, but we're maybe romantically attracted to two or three, you know what I mean? Or vice versa. But that's saying I'm a pan lesbian.
Yeah.
The term lesbian is what? What is the definition of a lesbian?
You want to pursue a relationship with,
a woman who is attracted to other women.
Yeah.
Specifically only women. But I think what it was when I was looking at it, so it's lesbians that are attracted to women, but also non-binary people.
And that's what I thought once you brought that up too, that maybe it's just more of an inclusive term for people who don't identify as women to also come into that space. Because I've been noticing that a lot more now. A lot of the spaces.
But it's not non-binary people who are attracted to. They're saying that it's women identified as women who are attracted to non-binary people and women.
Yeah. So their level of attraction, it's more encompassing than just the people who identify as women. It's also a little bit grayer in that spectrum.
No, I totally get that, because to me, if that's the definition that they're doing, it's very inclusive. But I already include them in the narrative when I say I'm a lesbian. I mean women, people who identify as women, so that includes all women, trans women, cis women, and non-binary people.
Yeah.
But there's different types of non-binary people, because non-binary just means you don't identify as a man or a woman. That doesn't mean that you're not fluid. That's including people who are right in the middle, agender or genderqueer, that they don't identify as either, or some people who kind of more of a in the middle, but sometimes leaning towards women, or in the middle, sometimes more leaning towards men. So there's a whole spectrum. Sexuality is gender.
And in a way, okay, so I do want to bring this up, because I did like the fact that they what this does is that it puts it into question, like how it is you feel and who it is you're, including in that conversation. But when you're using terms just like queer, like we spoke about before, it's yes, it's an umbrella term, but it's not very definitive of, like how you identify or who you're attracted to. Like it's just, this one big bucket of, non, whatever the default
non-heterosexual, non-cisgender. Yes.
Yeah. So
I get that.
In a way, I like that it exists. It does bring up, that conversation. And I think it does challenge people to kind of, to talk about gender and sexuality, the differences.
On the other hand, I understand all about the inclusivity of it. But on the other hand, does it take away the meaning of lesbian? Like when you say bi-lesbian? And also, like, I don't mean this and I'm not trying to offend anybody. But like, okay, so non-binary people, let me get this together. Let me get this right when I'm thinking, because I think as I'm talking, so I'm trying to think before I say the word. Okay, so non-binary people, there's people who, obviously that's their gender identity, that they're non-binary. But say that you're gender queer, but I guess it's still a gender identity. You know what I mean? That you have no gender
by not having a gender identity.
It's an identity. It's still a gender identity, but
yeah.
So that's where I'm getting. This is where I'm getting confused. But when you encompass all of genderqueer people, that's also doing a disservice to genderqueer people because they're not all the same. Like I said, it's a spectrum, and so for me, I identify as a lesbian, and I am sexually and romantically attracted to women and non-binary people, but not all non-binary people. And let me say this, but this is not like a thing. I don't like men. So if you are non-binary or genderqueer or whatever, and you are like a demi boy where you're like in the middle, sometimes some days you feel like a man, I wouldn't be attracted to you because I'm not attracted to men. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm attracted to anybody that identifies as a woman or someone who's androgynous or someone who's in the middle.
So maybe that's the reason why you can't claim bi-lesbian, because that genderqueer part that's more on the masculine side isn't your cup of tea, but you still include genderqueer people in your
who are more feminine. Well, it's not even more feminine because like you can be androgynous, you can be in the middle, and you know what I mean. You could be, but I don't know. Then you kind of look into it, and it's like, is this an issue? Is this an issue with me and men? Like you go into this deeper thing, this deeper. Is this no? Because like, okay, I'll be honest with you. Okay, maybe like a week ago, I don't know if I told you this. Maybe I told you this. I don't know if I woke up or I don't know, but I was like, well, I guess this is a whole different topic. I don't want to get off topic. I was like, well, maybe should I save it? Just whatever. I was like, do I like men? Like I was like, and I think that this is. See, that's a whole different topic because that's to talk about your internalized homophobia. See, we can talk about that another time. But like, trying to figure out like where it ends and like where my attraction starts and begins, and like I guess that's still your attraction. Like more, I think what it is I'm not attracted to masculine people.
Yeah.
But let me say that lightly. Because there's a spectrum of masculine.
Yeah.
See, this is another topic as well. That's where we were going. Like, there's like a spectrum and there's a cutoff. You know what I'm saying? Because androgynous, masculine presenting people are fine. See, now I'm just going on a rambling thought.
No, it's part of that preference thing. You know, me being a blessed bisexual, I don't have to worry about any of that. I just whoever comes along, that's okay.
But I don't want to like talk and people are like, "Girl, you not a lesbian," because that's not true. Because I am. I don't like men.
We've established that, yeah.
No, I know, but I feel like the way I'm talking, it sounds like, well, I'm just a girl. Nah. That was the thought I had the other day. I was like, and I've heard someone else say that, where they were like, is this like all in my head? Like, did I have some issue? Was there some trauma that happened? Some issue? Like, no, it's not. So I don't know. So I love that identities are for people to feel good about themselves, make them feel like they're in a community, make them feel safe or comfortable with a group of people, maybe to describe themselves to other people. Like, I understand why identity is so great, but also why labels and things can also be a hindrance where it feels like we are put into a box. So like, this is what a lesbian is. This is what a bisexual person is. And like the idea of bisexual people are 50-50.
And then that's like that whole other argument too, with like, you know, bisexuals and then, you know, versus pansexuals. It's like a whole other topic that we get into.
Because I have questions about that too. I have a lot of questions about that. But yes, go ahead.
Yeah. Personally, me, and I'm probably gonna get like, well, I don't know. Like, there's a ton of people who agree with a lot of what I'm going to say, and a lot of people who, you know, don't understand it. Just like the whole bi-lesbian thing. It you know, gets a little, you know, but
well, I think that
I've used it for so long. That's, you know, what I identified as first. You know, I told you before that I thought I was a lesbian, didn't even know what bisexual was. So when I heard about it, I was like, okay, that makes sense. You know, I'm already ready to go. Like that's the encompass of everything. But then I started reading more into it, hearing more, you know, about people who are genderqueer and non-binary, and I was like, and then, you know, the trans community in there as well. And I've always believed that, you know, who they say they are is who they are. You're a trans woman, you're a woman. Trans man, you're a man. So that was automatic for me. Like, that's inclusive into that whole men and women thing. And then as I started thinking about it, I was like, oh man, shoot, should I just throw in the term pansexual? Because I'm literally fine with everybody. Like, it doesn't matter. But then, you know, that
bi also means two or more.
And so I've continued to use it because of that. I've already used it, and I continue to, because it's still inclusive. It's two or more. Pansexuals just across the board is just doesn't matter, you know. So I guess I could fall into both. I just prefer the term bisexual. But to be honest, I really like the flag.
You're like, what?
The bisexual flag. It's
yeah, me too. I would trade the lesbian flag for the bisexual flag. It's just pink. It's the pinks.
Yeah. I'd rather just the bisexual flag. My favorite colors. I know that's not how you choose an identity.
I see now. I don't say, but pansexual has yellow in it. What is that? Pink, yellow.
I'm not a fan of yellow, and but all the flags are beautiful. I just prefer the bisexual one a little bit better. But I also identified as that first.
So she's picking a sexuality like some people pick sports teams. I like so I'm going to be bisexual. No, I'm just kidding. But okay, so would you think? Okay, so say that somebody is attracted to non-binary people and women. Can they identify as bisexual?
If they,
why are you talking so much?
Yeah.
What's the difference between them and me? I would never say, and this is no offense, but I wouldn't say I'm bisexual, because then people are going to think that I.
And I think that's really what it is. It falls into, you know, the label of the word. When I say bisexual, they know, okay, I can go up to her and I can get, you know, have a shot or whatever, or say, you know, vice versa. Somebody else said that, I'd be like, okay, they're probably fine with a girl too. You said you were a lesbian. If I was a guy, I'm gonna be like, hey, no, she doesn't want it. Like,
yeah, but they don't respect that. But yeah,
yeah. Well, it's a whole other topic, but that's what it's for. It's to, like, that quick little, this is who I am, this is who I'm attracted to. When you're in love, you don't have to, like, go through your dating history and really, like, deep dive, explain anything. Like, the common knowledge around that label is what helps people out. Sometimes when people say pansexual, they literally think people are attracted to pans, and that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
You never heard something. Now I think it's just like a running joke.
Now it's a
but joke. If you never heard it, then like you can't be like, people are like, what?
That's true.
So
but a lot more people have heard the term bisexual, and so they can quickly be like, okay, got it, type of thing. So
yeah,
I don't know, and that's a whole other issue, like, because we don't use the term pansexual enough in media, and like, not as many people know about it. So I don't know.
Like, because I'm just like saying, because because that person was like, no, you can't be a bi-lesbian. You're like a lesbian or you're bisexual. Mm-hmm. Like I could understand their thought process of why they said that, because attraction is different. There's romantic, like I said, that there's people who, so I'm saying maybe it's like I said, it's someone who's attracted to men and women, bi, but they only want to be in a relationship, date, marry a woman. And that's still bisexual. Like, it doesn't make you less bisexual to have more of a preference for a woman or more of a preference for a man. That's like the thing where, like, you get issues with people, like maybe the lesbian community, that maybe not like bisexuals as much, because they're like, say that a woman is attracted to a man and a woman, but only sees themselves with a guy, like wants a husband, wants the whatever 2.5 kids, 3, what they always say, the wife, 2.5 kids, whatever it is. So like, I could see that, and it's still valid that they're bisexual, but their romantic attraction is to men. They can see themselves doing stuff with women, but they don't see themselves do anything more. And that's valid as well. Like, people have their own intensity, and there's a spectrum to everything. I don't know. It's just like, I guess it's just to whatever you want to identify as. So like, you have no right to say that doesn't exist.
However you tell me you identify, I'm going to respect that. I'm going to honor that. And, like, I kind of get it when you say bi-lesbian, although what we discussed, it would have been cooler if you just said that. But I get it, and I understand it, and it's valid, and that's how you identify.
Maybe it's like them trying to like find a space in the lesbian community.
Maybe. Because like that's a whole other issue. Just like bis not being included in any of the camps. Like, I can't, you go to a lesbian bar, like, why are you here? And then
if you're actively trying to get with a girl, I can understand what they say, like in Pride, where say like you're going to a lesbian bar. This is lesbian night, and you're bisexual. No, this is what I'm saying. No one can have an issue with you being bisexual coming into a lesbian bar. Say if it's lesbian night, because there's no lesbian bars in LA. There's places other whatever, but say that there's a lesbian night, and you're bisexual, and you bring your boyfriend.
I've done that before.
I can see why people,
and I understand why they're upset.
So was it a lesbian event?
It wasn't lesbian night. It was a queer event, and I've been in those spaces before.
I feel like it's different. A queer event and lesbian night is different, because lesbian night people are on a prowl.
No, I know.
You know what I mean? Like, but also it could just be like just like chilling, and it should be.
I have gone to queer events where I didn't feel super included when I brought a male partner, and oftentimes I feel bad, but I'll be like, okay, peace, I'm going to an event. Like, you can stay here, because I know the reactions. I know the comments. People, even who are friends or whatever, say stuff on occasion. They don't really realize it. Like, it's just like that whole bi-erasure issue. Like, the second I pick a boyfriend, I'm no longer queer in the world, which is, it's sad.
Because I feel like when you come in, it just looks like you were a straight friend.
Yeah,
And
it
they're like,
does.
"Yeah,
I'm the ally.
or like you guys are on, like you guys missed a stop and you like just like walked in and you're like, you're in the wrong place." Everything. I could totally understand it because when a woman, a bisexual woman, is in a relationship with a man, it is a hetero relationship. It is a
Yeah.
hetero relationship. The same thing with a bi woman getting with a woman. It is a lesbian relationship.
Mhm.
It doesn't erase your bi-ness. You're still bisexual. That's your identity. But the relationship is a hetero relationship.
In each relationship are night and day. It's
Mhm.
just like, yeah. So that's interesting.
I don't know. That's iffy. That's real. That's not, you know what I mean? Like, I think everybody's welcome in every sense, but like in the same sense, you are bi and you're queer in the queer community, but say that your boyfriend is straight. Now lesbians feel like a straight man has infiltrated their space. That's supposed to be safe and like a community thing. It has nothing to do with, you're bi, don't be here. Or, you know what I mean? Like, I guess it would be different if your boyfriend was bi, or I don't know.
I don't know. I do grapple with this all the time. I'm at a lot of queer events, but I normally show up with like you or by myself on purpose because I don't even really want to like dive into that conversation.
Yeah, that's a totally different thing, and that we can talk about another time.
That's a different story.
With an issue, but
your identity is valid no matter what. That is the story.
I hope I didn't sound problematic. These are like, and when I say these things, I'm asking a question and talking out loud and trying to figure it out in my head as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, like, I didn't come in here with an opinion. I came out with opinion. Identify as whatever you want. I was curious and I actually looked it up because I know about the attraction because that's how like I figured out myself. From going from asexual to lesbian was looking at how my attraction differed. I don't know. Whatever. I hope you guys comment and you tell me what you guys think. Let me know. And if you identify as that, like, please tell me like how that label makes you feel like you're included. That's your space. I would really like to know that because I don't know anybody that identifies as that.
Me neither.
But it's interesting.
Yeah, that's everything. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Queer Sister podcast. My name is Jasmine again.
And I'm Natasha, and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Looking to start your own podcast? Buzzsprout is the easiest way to go about creating a professional podcast. Natasha and I, along with more than 100,000 other podcasters, use Buzzsprout to seamlessly get your podcast onto every major podcasting platform. You get a really cool website, podcast players that you can use on other sites, detailed analytics, and a whole host of tools to promote your episodes. If you're ready to get started on your own show using Buzzsprout, click the affiliate link in the show notes to get a $20 Amazon gift card and to help support the show. Thanks.